Chapter 333 Gain Leader Son. A refined and cultured youth was escorted by the young masters to the second floor. The 30-year-old youth had a dashing appearance. From seeing his faint smile, one would have received a greatly favorable impression of him, as if they had felt a spring wind. Those near silent footsteps came from him. The youth and the young masters were bantering with one another as they swept their gazes across the second floor. As Han Li's common appearance did not catch their attention, they headed up to the third floor. It seemed that this youth was the so-called esteemed guest. Just as they arrived to the third floor, a stream of servants carrying fine delicacies followed. Afterward the food was delivered, the servants and guards descended. It seems they didn't want others to hear their conversation. Having seen this, Han Li's interest was piqued, and he secretly extended his spiritual sense upstairs, allowing him to clearly hear their conversation. "Senior brother Li, it is fortunate that you've come, or else we would have suffered a terrible fate. You've given us face by agreeing to come here. Come, let us drink a cup in honor of brother Li." The thin youth's voice was filled with appreciation. "It's nothing. Those outsiders dared to see someone underneath the eyes of our rainbow sect. Thus, they were violating our sect's laws, and I only did what should have been done," the dashing youth courteously said. He appeared quite modest and friendly. Hearing the words rainbow sect and senior brother Li, Han Li revealed slight amazement. Could there be such a coincidence? I happened to run across someone related to the rainbow sect already. Han Li was stunned. Regardless of how it is said, we would have encountered great danger were it not for you. In the future, if senior brother Li requires any assistance, we will do our best. A different young master said this as he patted his chest. Many thanks for these brothers' kind intentions. However, the person who attempted to kidnap you all must be a renowned character in Jianghu. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't have dared to act in a place like Jiayuan City. The dashing youth changed the subject. That's right. Those kidnappers were quite ferocious. I had been sleeping in my bed, but when I opened my eyes, I was already at another place. At that moment, I was truly scared. Fortunately, our elders managed to find your esteemed father. Otherwise, we would have suffered greatly," the thin youth said, horrified of what might have happened. In fact, Sir Wang and the others actually didn't find. The youth surnamed Li and the others continued to chat. From the brief words Han Li heard from their conversation, Han Li was able to piece together a general idea of what happened. These prestigious young masters had been kidnapped by a Jianghu expert. As such, their elders anxiously sought the Rainbow Sect for help. This youth should be the Rainbow Sect master's son, who had quickly come to their rescue. Now, a banquet was being held to thank this young sect master. As Han Li appeared to be absent-mindedly looking out the window, he was sifting through the young master's flattery of the young sect master for any useful information regarding the Rainbow Sect master. Not long after, the thin youth paid some words of respect which caused Han Li's heart to tremble with excitement. "Senior brother Li, I heard that sect master Li's 60th birthday is coming soon. He is still hardy and vigorous despite his years and doesn't appear old at all. Your estate should currently be making preparations in celebration of this event. At that time, we must drink a cup with him in his honor. Father's cultivation is quite deep, incomparable to that of ordinary people. If you all wish to come, then I will naturally welcome you. Furthermore, my father has returned from his sect branch inspections and is personally presiding over the preparations. That elderly man feels quite strongly about this birthday celebration." Then, having heard this, Han Li recalled his spiritual awareness. Since he found out that the Rainbow Sect master was in the Li estate, he didn't need to know anything else. Han Li then set down his cup of wine and put a few pieces of silver on the table, saying with a deep voice, "Waiter, I've paid the bill. Keep the change." With that said, he nimbly descended. The waiter opened his eyes wide and repeatedly expressed his thanks. After leaving the restaurant, Han Li gazed in the direction of the Li estate with a trace of a sneer. The Rainbow Sect Master wasn't leaving anytime soon. Once night fell, he would pay a visit to the Lee estate. If there were no Foundation establishment cultivators nearby, he would be able to easily take the life of the Rainbow Sect Master and fulfill his promise. But since it was still day and he was short on time, he thought that he should take advantage of this opportunity to handle his other affairs. With that in mind, Han Li disappeared into the bustling crowd. The fourth-level gang held an impressive reputation within Jia Yuan City. Although they were incomparable to the largest powers, they were among the strongest of the mid-level gangs. Their leader, Sun Ergo, rose to prominence in a single feat. Naturally, as Sun Ergo's status was now completely different, no one would dare to address him by name. If anyone saw him now, they would address him as Gang Leader Sun. The fourth-level gang was no longer located where it had previously been, over 10 years ago. It had relocated to a more prosperous street inside the city. As for the gang members, they were no longer impoverished luggage carriers from the docks. Instead of fiercely working to make a living, they created great profits from their territory and had even built a restaurant, pawn shop and other such businesses. As a result, the fourth-level gang had become increasingly wealthy and gang leader Sun's quality of life had improved in kind. As a matter of fact, Sun Ergo had married his 9th young concubine, a famous courtesan in Jia Yuan City, during the last month. This young concubine truly knew how to seduce. After this middle-aged Sun Ergo married her, he had lingered in her room every day and had forgotten to leave. As for his other concubines, they had long been placed in the back of his head. When it was still day, gang leader Sun would joyfully head over to her courtyard. With one thought of that coquettish young beauty, he felt a heat in his heart that couldn't be quelled. However, when Sun Ergo entered the fragrant room this day, he was immediately stunned. As he entered, he unexpectedly saw a young man sitting in front of him. Once this man saw gang leader Sun enter, he lazily said, "Sun Ergo, I hadn't thought that you held such skill. The management of the fourth-level gang is quite good. It seems I had chosen the right person." Not only did this youth address him by his full name, he also spoke to him in a superior tone. This youth was Han Li, who had secretly infiltrated into the fourth-level gang's headquarters. When Sun Ergo saw Han Li, he immediately recognized him as the person who had originally helped him that year. After all, Han Li looked exactly the same as he did 10 years ago due to the fact that he had taken the face-setting pill. This shocked Sun Ergo and caused a storm of perilous uncertainty to rage in his heart. After a short moment of his expressions changing incessantly, Sun Ergo revealed a respectful appearance as he hastily stepped forward and saluted Han Li, so it turns out that young master had arrived. Sun Ergo pays his respects to young master. This was quite difficult for the current gang leader Sun. He hadn't spoken with a humble attitude for many years but was unexpectedly still able to do so quite skillfully. Han Li raised his eyebrows and revealed surprise upon seeing Sun Ergo's bearing. Quickly after, he faintly smiled and said with slight curiosity, "It's alright. You're a gang leader now. There is no need to be so courteous. My current visit is to see how you've grown. I'll be leaving soon anyways." Sun Ergo immediately grew at ease. He had feared that he would have to hand over his authority. As he had held a high position for so many years, he knew a bit about cultivators and that mortals like him couldn't hope to resist such characters. Even knowing this, Sun Ergo was also aware that this person was extremely elusive. He had originally believed that Han Li had given him such great benefits because he would have to act as Han Li's puppet. But he hadn't thought that Han Li would release his grasp and conceal himself for so many years. As such, Sun Ergo got a taste of what it was like to be above others. He hadn't expected that this young master would suddenly reveal himself. He had believed that Han Li had completely forgotten about him. As he didn't know Han Li's objective, he grew truly apprehensive. "Yi." Han Li looked at Sun Ergo with surprise. "Come over here and let me see your wrist." Han Li wrinkled his brow and gave an indisputable command. Sun Ergo was startled. After hesitating for a moment, he obediently walked over and extended his wrist. Han Li impolitely grabbed his wrist and poured a bit of spiritual qi into his body, quickly circulating it through his meridians. After a short moment, Han Li released Sun Ergo's wrist with an indifferent expression and said a few words that left Sun Ergo pale from fright. A hidden poison has started to take effect in your body. At most, you have a month to live. Han Li's voice was ice-cold and emotionless.